am now going to go back to this problem and talk you through that F feature in the cash flow function of the financial calculator. So I hit CF. You can see we have all that old stuff stored in there. So I do a second clear work that zeroes everything out and gives me a nice clean slate. So I'm going to enter the 10,000, hit the plus minus key to make it negative, press enter, then down arrow, and next comes 500 positive. So 500, enter, down arrow. You can see this F feature, which has a default value of 1, and I told you I would come back to it. So F stands for frequency. So the calculator is trying to streamline things for us when you have the same number that occurs 2 or more times in a row. So in our case here, we have two $500 values, one at the end of year 1, one at the end of year 2. So if I simply press 2, enter, and change the frequency from 1 to 2, I've now told the financial calculator that there will be $500 coming in at the end of year 1 and another $500 coming in at the end of year 2. I can then hit the down arrow, and I'm being prompted for the next cash flow, which is 4,600. So 4600, enter, down arrow. The frequency is 1, so that's both the default value and the true value for this particular problem. So I just accept the default, go down arrow, and the next cash flow is 10,000. 10,000, enter, down arrow, down arrow. And so now I'm ready for that net present value computation. Hit NPV. I'm prompted for the interest rate that serves as the discount rate for this net present value computation. So that would be 10, enter, for 10%, down arrow, hit the compute, and there's the $1,153.95 that we had before. It's the $1,154 that we had on the slide where it was rounded to the nearest dollar. And so that is something that is going to make our lives easier when we do these kinds of problems. Now, you'll remember when I went over the internal rate of return before, we defined that as the discount rate that forces the net present value to equal 0. It's the rate of return on the project given its initial investment and its future cash flows. So here you can see we have the two projects A and B that were presented in your PowerPoint slides. Now, we already have the cash flows for project B in the calculator. We already entered the 500 2 times in a row, then the 4,600 one time, then the 10,000 one time, and we described this negative 10,000 as the time 0 cash flow, and there's the net present value. All I need to do to get the internal rate of return of project B is hit the IRR key and then compute, and there's the 13.5%. So that was nice, wasn't it? Now, I could go back into the cash flow feature again, do a second clear work. Let me do the project A numbers. And so we have that 10,000, hit the plus minus, and enter, and down arrow, followed by 3,500, oops, one too many zeros. There we go. 3,500. Enter. Down arrow. Now note the frequency is going to come in handy on this one because there were 4 positive $3,500 figures in a row. So I'm going to change the frequency from the default value of 1 to a 4. Enter. Down arrow. Hit the IRR key and compute. And there's your 14.96%. If I want to go back and compute the net present value for project A, just enter the 10 as the interest rate, down arrow, compute, and there's your $1,094.53. So I hope that you can see that your financial calculator is going to make your life much easier in doing these types of problems, and so I hope you practice using the financial calculator. You'll find it very beneficial at exam time.